Alright guys, Zachman18 here. Welcome back to the WTZM TV channel 18 Superstation. It is time for the second part of our Let's Play of Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney Investigations on the Nintendo DS. And this game is really cool so far. We're on the first case. We're still on the first case right now. We're going to continue on with it. The first case is called Turnabout Visitor. The case of the prosecutor guy, or the detective, I think. He got killed in in Edgeworth's office. And this prosecutor guy who we're trying to accuse is definitely the guy, since we just saw the cutscene. So at the beginning of the episode. So let's jump right back into it. And now they're accusing Maggie Bird, who we haven't seen in a while.
What is with that prosecutor? I can't believe how rude he was. It was unbelievable.
Please maintain your professionalism, detective.
I'm gonna find some real solid evidence proving Maggie's innocence. You'll see, sir.
We've been kicked out of the crime scene, sir.
True. So then what now?
Looks like my life's fallen into yet another gigantic ditch.
Do not despair, Miss Bird. We can overcome this as well. There are many other places and things we should be looking into anyway.
Huh? Really, sir?
For example, this hallway. The linchpin of his argument against Miss Bird is related to the master key. In that case, this hallway is the perfect place to look for more information regarding the mystery surrounding my door. Alright, here we go. Start with this kind of lounge thing here. I won't rest until I've inspected. So there's something under the sofa here. Huh? Isn't this that missing zero? Oh wow, that's the missing file. Why is it under the sofa?
Isn't this that missing Zero Series file, sir?
No doubt about it. The blinding letters mark it clear as day. There seem to be a few pages missing. Our thief took only what was necessary and left the rest behind.
So what are these zero files about, sir? I guess they've got something worth sealing in them, huh?
Not particularly. It's just a collection of court case files. However, the cases within these files are not mine.
Huh?
They belong to the high prosecutor that used to occupy my current office. I have my reasons, but let's just say I was charged with keeping them as they were.
And that means the thief must have also wanted the file for a specific reason, right?
It would seem so. Only the pages related to that case from 10 years ago are missing.
I wonder why anyone would care about such an old case.
Alright. So, we have that in our... Yes, okay. Let's see. We can examine. $12.02. Oh. Okay. Door handle. And the door really was open with a key. Did you happen to ask if any prints were lifted from the doorknob?
Apparently the doorknob's clean as a whistle. Wipe, they think.
Whoever this thief is, they did a good job of not leaving any clues behind. Alright. So now looking at that. Can we talk to her? I was wondering if I may speak with you for a bit concerning this case.
I've always been a big fan of the courtroom, but this is like a dream. A dream where I'm being cross-examined by the Miles Edgeworth.
I can't let this chance pass me by. I must remember to ask her about the master key. I should jog her memory by showing my notes to her through the present button. Alright. Have you ever met the victim before?
Well, I've seen him a couple of times before when I had to go to Mr. Portsman's office. Mr. Faith was always playing basketball with Mr. Portsman, sir.
That sounds like fun. Just once I would love to play with him.
It sounds fun, but the only person ever taking a shot was Mr. Portsman. All Mr. Faith ever did was pass him the ball, sir.
On second thought, I don't think I'd have fit in all that well with him.
Jeez, Gumshoe. Miss Maggie Bird, correct? I take it that you are an acquaintance of the detective?
She was under my supervision back when she was still in the force, sir. One day she got caught up in a murder and things started going downhill, so she quit.
But I owe a lot to Detective Gumshoe for introducing me to my current employer. Or so I thought until a few hours ago. Right before I was about to clock out for the night.
You got caught up in this whirlwind of a case, correct?
Don't worry, my whole life has been nothing but a whirlwind of bad luck and failures.
Huh?
Since I was 6 months old when I fell from the 9th floor of my apartment building, I've been hit by all sorts of vehicles, gotten sick from all sorts of foods, failed at almost every test I've taken, experienced almost every kind of disaster, and now I even managed to be named a criminal just when I become a security guard.
That's a lot to go through in one lifetime.
I know, and just when I thought I had finally found my happiness, I wound up getting you and Detective Gumshoe involved in my bad luck.
You don't need to worry about me, Miss Bird, nor do you need to worry about yourself. I will solve this case and prove your innocence. All I ask in return is for your cooperation.
Yes, sir, Mr. Edgeworth. You can count on me. I'll do all I can to help.
Alright, so could we show her something? Jog a memory about the key, he said, so let's show her the key. So when did you discover that the master key was missing?
By the time I realized it, I think it was around 1 a.m., sir. And I noticed it was back at around 2:30 a.m. It was just sitting there on the ledge where the security room's reception window is. And I'm sure that between those two times it was not just gone, but stolen, sir.
Missing from 1 a.m. to 2:30 a.m., okay. Why is such an important key stored in such an insecure place?
It's not like that, sir. We always keep the key further inside the room, away from the window.
Always, you say, except for this time, correct?
Well, I admit that was a bit careless, but I had my reasons. I left it out because I was sort of using it at the time. It was after I had used it that I left it sitting out on the ledge.
She used the master key? Alright, can we talk to her? Oh, here we go. What did you mean by you used the master key?
Oh, I had to use it to open the door for this prosecutor who had forgotten his key. I mean, it's my job as a security guard, right?
What is it?
That's right, I just remembered. The prosecutor who forgot his key. It was Mr. Portsman, sir.
What? Please tell me more, Miss Bird, quickly.
Aha!
Now we're getting somewhere.
It was around 12 a.m. Mr. Portsman had forgotten his office key, so he came down to security, sir.
And that's when you loaned the master key to him?
No way, it's against regulations to loan the master key out to anyone. I walked with Mr. Portsman to his office and opened the door for him personally, sir.
I see.
And then what happened after that?
Well, he called for me to come close up to his office as he was leaving to go home. That was around 1:30 a.m., I think.
So in summary, for the sake of one forgetful prosecutor, you used the master key twice tonight. Okay. Now we got two pieces of logic.
Talk about suspicious.
I doubt you could say that you've never left your keys at home, detective. I think this calls for a thorough examination of Mr. Portsman's door. Alright. So can we put those two logic things together that we just got? Which one was it? It was master key stolen, and Portsman used the master key for his office. Makes sense to me. Miss Bird, I'm afraid there's a flaw in your story.
What? No way, pal. I mean, sir.
You said that you locked up Mr. Portsman's office at around 1:30 a.m., correct? However, the master key had already been stolen at that time.
Wow, nothing gets by you, Mr. Edgeworth. You saw that contradiction like a pro. I totally forgot all about that, but thanks to you, I remember it now. You're right, it was around that very time that I realized the master key was missing.
And?
Well, I'm a security guard, sir. I couldn't just admit to losing the master key, could I? So I pretended to lock up his room, sir.
You pretended?
Yeah, I used my house key and made it look like I was locking up, sir.
So in actuality, you never did relock the door then?
Well, I thought that maybe I could go lock it after I found the key. Come to think of it, I guess the door still hasn't been locked properly.
Alright. So now we got his office and our data. So is this... Okay, so we got... There's a ball here. What is a basketball doing here?
That's Mr. Portsman's prized possession, sir. I heard he also plays soccer, dodgeball, and even tennis.
Not a single one of those sports is suitable to be played in a hallway. What is a basketball hoop doing here?
Hey, didn't this used to be just outside next to the building a long time ago?
So when and why was it moved indoors?
I don't remember exactly, but I saw one of the officers drag it up here recently.
Drag it?
I heard that it wouldn't fit in the elevator, so the poor guy had to bring it himself.
All the way up to the 12th floor? Alright, this is his door. The door is locked tight.
I bet the old credit card trick wouldn't work here, huh, Mr. Edgeworth?
This is the office of a high prosecutor, detective. These doors would be pretty ineffective if the average cat burglar could get through them.
Aha, so I guess only a great cat burglar could get in. That must be who our culprit is.
Might I advise you to return that conclusion to whatever pawn shop you bought it from? So can we deduce that? Now that we got that kind of focused on? Is this spot somehow connected to any of the evidence I hold? His office. Miss Bird unlocked the door, so she couldn't lock it up because she used her house key to make it look like she was locking the door. Eureka! There's a contradiction here between reality and the evidence. If what Miss Bird has said is true, then why is this door locked tight?
Huh? You know you're right.
Miss Bird, are you sure you didn't relock this door?
I am certain of it, sir. and I don't think Mr. Portsman noticed it himself that I hadn't.
Which means what, sir?
It either means that he actually does have the key to his office, or that the door Miss Byrne opened wasn't this one at all, but a completely different one.
She opened a different door? But how can you prove that?
There's an easy way to find out. All we need to do is... we need to examine these. Prints on the master key, prints on the doorknob, or prints on the number plate. Well, prints on the doorknob because we would know who went in and out of the out of that door. The prints on the doorknob will tell us everything.
Hey you pal, do us a favor and see what you can lift from this, okay?
Alright.
So, what did you find out?
There's no need for such belligerent nostril flaring, detective.
Sorry, I found only one Mr. Portsman's and Mr. Fate's prints on this doorknob.
So only two people's prints were found on this, huh? That's pretty decisive.
Huh? I'm lost, sir.
Thinking logically, a certain other person's print should be on this knob as well. Now then, whose print should also be on this doorknob? The girl who had the hand on the doorknob trying to get in. It was Maggie. Take that! Don't you find it odd that the prints of the person who unlocked this doorknob are absent?
You mean...
Yes, the door that Miss Bird opened cannot have been this one, but a different one. Huh. Interesting. What have we here? Oh, there's a little piece of paper under the door. Let's click on that. What is this?
Looks like a scrap of paper. I'll get it, sir. Let's see. Oh, there's something written on it.
I brought the... it looks like a note from the victim. I brought the 3 pieces of evidence by, just like we talked about on the phone, but it looks like you're out. Guess I'll catch up to you later, buddy.
Yeah, and it's for Mr. Portsman.
Alrighty then. Oh, this thing was moved. What's this?
What are you looking at, sir? Oh, hey, how about a game?
That's okay, detective. I just found the position of this hoop to be a little off.
Hey, you're right, sir. I guess it shifted when someone made a seriously sweet slam dunk.
The positioning of the hoop is definitely unnatural. I better take note of this. Huh. Alrighty then. Yeah, baby. Poking around in this hallway has actually paid off quite handsomely.
Huh? How so, sir?
In a variety of different ways. I think it's time we had a little chat with the real culprit of this case.
You know who the killer is? Wow, Mr. Edgeworth.
As long as my logic is sound, then yes. The mastermind behind this murder is none other than Mr. Portsman.
What? Mr. Portsman?
I knew it. That's exactly what my logic senses were telling me, too. I suspected it was him from the instant he accused Maggie of being the killer, sir.
That is anything but logical. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves. Come what may, it's time to knock on truth's door. Alright. Mr. Portsman, I finished processing the bloody letter, sir. Alright, let me take a gander at it. Pass it here. Okay, looking good. You there. Take good care of this.
Ah!
Gumshoe. Well, if it isn't Detective Gumshoe.
End of the line for you, Portsman. We've got you now.
Call off your dog, Mr. Edgeworth. Is this some kind of joke? It's no joke. We know, Mr. Jacques Portsman, that you are the guilty party in this case. You must be pretty upset getting chased out of your own room. I'd be mad, too. So I guess you can stay, if you promise to stay out of our way. You intend to hide your crime under the guise of a prosecutor doing his job? I can see right through the unsightly paper-thin mask you wear upon your cowl. Ha! Who would have ever thought it would come to this? Actually, come to think of it, your mentor is Manfred von Kammer, right? The legendary prosecutor who never lost a single case for 40 long years. But there was always this incessant chatter about forged evidence with that guy. Really teaches me that I've got to stay on the lookout for false accusations, you know. Are you done trying to play mind games with me, because they won't work? The only thing you should be using that mouth of yours if now is explaining yourself. Although that too will only dig your hole deeper. Either way, your game is up. Well, aren't we full of ourselves, even though you have yet to prove anything? Alright. Time for the testimony. I have no idea what sort of harebrained idea you have in mind, but there's a mountain of evidence that points away from me being the culprit. Besides, how, may I ask, do you propose I unlocked your door and got in here? Look, I feel bad doing this to you, but I've got work to do, so we're done here. Sorry, but we are not finished yet. Boy, you're stubborn. I suppose you're basing your accusations on something. I'll show you what I'm basing my accusations on, with evidence. Alright, here we go. Next rebuttal. Hold it! Alright. Hold it! My accusation is a harebrained idea, is it? You tell me. I'd say it is, after all. Hold it! Oh, and what, pray tell, kind of evidence are we talking about here? Jim was my partner, so you can't say I had a motive for killing him. And that's it? That's not even an anthill, let alone a mountain. But it's more than enough, wouldn't you agree? Might I recommend that you review what the word evidence means? It doesn't change the fact that the evidence doesn't point to me as the killer. Let me try this again. Hold it! Hold it! Hold it! Okay, you gotta get kind of closer to it than Apollo Justice. Unfortunately, I believe I've already shown how earlier. Your speculations mean nothing, as I still insist that I cannot gain access to your room. What should I do now? Should I raise an objection? Let's do it. You claim to have had no way to open my door. However, is that really the honest truth? Ha ha, alright, I'll humor you. Go ahead, shoot. Very well then, I propose that you use this to open my door. The key that he stole. Take that! I believe you were able to open my office door with the master key, no less. Wait. Hold on for a second. I never laid a finger on that key, as you already know. Precisely, you were able to open my door without lifting a single fingerprint. Or finger, sorry. Well, maybe you did, but only to direct. That's right. You used your finger to direct this person to open my door with the key. Maggie. You had asked Miss Bird to open your own office door for you, yes? Yeah, I kind of forgot my key at home. Happens a bit too often for my taste, you know. But the room you had Miss Bird open at that time was not your own, was it? What? You have quite the imagination. But why don't we ask the girl herself whose door she opened, shall we? I'm certain that it was Mr. Portsman's door, sir. I checked the number plate to make sure I was opening the right door, sir. See, Miss Bird backs up my story. Yeah, what if you had misled her to fool her into thinking what you wanted? Ha, and how do you suppose I did that? By switching the number plates on our doors, for example. That's right, they do slide out pretty easily. Furthermore, you then used one other thing to give a very strong impression. That the door she was opening was yours and not, in fact, mine. What was it that Mr. Portsman used to make Miss Bird think that it was his room? What do we have in here? Not the pistol, not the safe, not the file, no master key, not the office itself, no... Oh, the basketball hoop was in front of his office. Take that! What? The basketball hoop, sir? Oh yeah, because it moved a little bit. We saw the mark on the ground. It's quite the peculiar fixture in any hallway, let alone a hallway in this building, which is why it left an unusually strong impression on you. It's an object perfectly suited to sit just outside the office of a peculiar prosecutor. Ah! That's very true, sir, because there was a basketball hoop sitting there. I thought the door I was opening had to be Mr. Portsman's. There are signs that the hoop has been moved. To sit in front of my office, to be sure. I see. So that's how you throw suspicion on people. Thanks for the tip. But I think your conjecture is a little off the racetrack. Okay. Now you're just spouting nonsense. I had the girl open my office door. After that, I was in my room the entire time. You don't have a single reason to suspect me. No, he wasn't in his room the entire time, because that note we found said for him to meet with Buddy at the office. So he intends to claim his innocence to the end, does he? I'm as pure and innocent as my jacket, and Miss Bird is as dirty and guilty as the jacket she wears. My jacket's not dirty, I'll have you know. I just washed it yesterday. Please calm down, for I intend to show who is the one truly covered in slime here. Yeah, that's gotta be what we're presenting on. It's pretty easy. There we go. We seem to skip the text much faster in this game. I like that. Alright. Objection! That was a lie. What are you talking about? How is that a lie? This is a note that the victim left for you, Mr. Portsman. A note? It was left under your door, or did you not notice? And right here it says, "But you're out." You were not in your room when the victim came to call on you, so then where were you and what were you doing? Ah! Shall I explain it in full detail for you? You were busy snooping around in my room, the very room you let Miss Bird open for you. That's just nonsense. You have no evidence that I made the girl open your door for me. Oh, but I do. I have very decisive evidence. No way! This is proof positive that you had Miss Bird open the door for you. The door... It says she unlocked the door. Her prints were not found on the doorknob. Take that! I had your door dusted for prints. My door? Ha! What for? Come on, I bet you didn't find anything. You sure are good at wasting time. You're right, I didn't find anything. And definitely not Miss Bird's fingerprints. Her prints? What did they have to do with anything? Let's put it this way. If she really was the one who opened your door, then her prints should naturally be on the doorknob she touched. Ah! Further, all the prints on my office door's knob had been wiped clean off. I can only assume it's because Miss Bird's fingerprints were on it. Don't you think it's time you gave up your charade? We know you stole into my office with the intent of stealing something from me, and Detective Faith found you out. Possibly because he heard sounds coming from a room whose occupant was on leave. Mr. Portsman, you killed Mr. Faith to silence him. And I had the misfortune to return when I did. You had to threaten me as you escaped. As I said when you had the gun to my back, no one gets away with committing murder in my office.
And just what's so funny, pal?
Well, that look of stiff seriousness on the face of this office's finest prosecutor, as he makes a huge mistake in accusing me, is simply too much to bear. There's just nothing else like it in the world. What?
Mr. Edgeworth just explained it all and he even backed it up. You're the murderer. Stop trying to be slippery and just admit to the crime already.
And as I said earlier, it's all so circumstantial, so full of conjecture. You say you checked my doorknob for prints? Well, I can readily confess that I had wiped that knob down well.
Eh?
I'm a little obsessive-compulsive, you see. I didn't want to touch a doorknob that you had touched, which is why I wiped the knob down as soon as I could after you opened the door. After that, it makes perfect sense that only Jim's and my own prints would be on there.
You made that up just now, didn't you?
Furthermore, as for the note Jim left for me, do you know exactly when that was? For all we know, he could have left it there before I arrived at the office. Like early evening, for example. Are you saying you failed to notice a note in your doorway? Hey, even geniuses fail at times. I was probably too preoccupied by work-related matters, although that's no excuse.
Now that's just a flat-out lie. There's no way you didn't notice a note that size.
You can't prove that, can you?
Say something, Mr. Edgeworth. Back me up here, sir.
Portsman makes a good point. I can't prove that he didn't simply overlook it. Besides, I have an airtight alibi. Airtight, you say? I only realized that I had one just now as we were talking. I guess it would have been better for all of us if I had told you sooner. Well, geez, why didn't you tell me before? Hold on, I'm messaging people. If memory serves, you came back to this office at around 2 a.m., correct? And it was then that you had that unfortunate confrontation at gunpoint with the culprit. But at exactly that time, I was down in criminal affairs. Ask around, I'm sure the other detectives will corroborate my story. It's the perfect alibi. Do you really think it's that perfect? Like I said, I don't care. Ask around for all you like. You'll see for yourself. Hold on. Detective Gumshoe?
Sir, yes, sir. I'll go check out his alibi, sir. Be right back. Mr. Edgeworth, sir, I think we're in trouble. It's just like Mr. Portsman said. The guy down in criminal affairs said they saw him at around 2 a.m.
You see? All the evidence points to him being the culprit, so there must be a contradictory point in his alibi somewhere. Okay. You are correct, it was around 2 a.m. Are you sure? It's really important to me that you're spot on with the time. I remember checking my watch then and making no mistake, it was 2. Oh, giving testimony like a pro. Okay, so you came back to your office at 2. Hold it! This is not gonna work.
Hold it!
As you say, however. Yes, however, you are the only one who claims to have bumped into the culprit. So tell me, did you see the person's face? Was it me who you saw? It was pitch black, so I couldn't actually see. Oh, come now. I'm sure you saw something. Try a little harder, why don't you? I'm beginning to feel like I'm the one being interrogated here. Oh, well, it doesn't matter if you remember or not. It only matters that you ran into the culprit. This guy's an idiot. And I'll tell you why at the end. So you paid the Criminal Affairs Department a visit? Yep, right after I left the prosecutor's building, I headed straight for the precinct. Well, we did go and ask around to confirm your testimony. And it was just as I said, right?
Yes, sir. A number of detectives said that they saw you at around that time.
See, I have the perfect alibi. That's the ace I had up my sleeve. Impossible. He actually does have the perfect alibi. What's wrong? Why the sudden sullen look on your face?
Can't you say anything back, Mr. Edgeworth?
I think we've reached the end of the line and it's time to get off this crazy train. You there. Sir? Please escort the young lady out. But remember, be gentle.
Maggie!
Detective Gumshoe!
Is there nothing I can do? There must be a way to turn this situation around. If I only had a clue, did I miss something that can help me to cast doubt on his alibi? Do we go to our logic now? I need to calmly think this through one more time, and with logic. Alright, here we go. Alright, let me get this piece of hair off my DS. Surprise and disarray, okay, those we've already established. The other two are Mr. Portsman's alibi and the other handgun. There's two guns there. He shot the door. So he could have had I would say he had an accomplice with him, maybe. Boom. There were 2 bullets left at the scene of the crime. One that robbed Mr. Faith of his life, and one that nearly robbed me of my jacket. However, the murder weapon only shows signs of being fired once, meaning that it is entirely possible that a second gun was used in my office tonight. But seeing as how the killer had to steal Mr. Faith's gun, I doubt the killer had another gun up their sleeve. Therefore, the second gun could have been the property of an entirely different person, which could mean that there was another person who paid a visit to my office tonight. Huh. Okay. And those are the only 2 left that we can connect, so... Easy logic connection right there. Supposing there was yet another visitor tonight, that would also resolve the issue of why my shelves were upended twice. We know that the shelves were disturbed once before and once after the murder, so it shouldn't be much of a stretch to think that it was the work of 2 different people. Once by the person who stole the victim's gun and then killed him with it, and once again after the murder by our second culprit, who was the owner of the second gun. If we suppose that the second culprit's gun was the one that was pointed at my back... Mr. Portsman, it seems that I need to amend my assumptions regarding this case. Great, so you finally come to your senses.
Mr. Edgeworth!
Sir, what are you saying?
This has been a big misunderstanding on my part from the start. I'd assumed that the person I ran into was the killer, but that may not be the case. What do you mean? The person I ran into was just your average thief.
A thief? But sir, doesn't that cause some sort of contradiction to facts?
Not at all. It simply means that the killer was someone else. And it means that in actuality, 2 culprits stole into my office tonight.
What do you mean 2?
It explains both why my shelves were disturbed twice and how there were 2 guns. Mr. Portsman tricked Mr. Bird and gained entry into my office. Now you're just leading the argument. You still don't have any actual proof, you know. If you could please go along with my hypothetical scenario for now, Mr. Portsman. In the end, if you really are innocent, you should have nothing to worry about. Now then, returning to my scenario, Mr. Portsman was out to steal something from me, which is why he checked my secret safe and ransacked my shelves. This is the first time.
So then this would be when the files were put back in the wrong order, right?
Correct. And then just when he was about to look somewhere else, who should walk in but his own partner, Mr. Faith?
Why did Mr. Faith come into your room, sir?
He probably had business with Mr. Portsman, which is why he was in the area. But that's when he noticed someone's coming from my office would be my guess.
Oh, because you were supposed to be away, right?
And he must have thought it was odd, so he came into his office to check it out.
Correct, and as a detective, that was the right thing to do.
But when he came in, he found his own partner standing there.
Because it was Mr. Portsman, Mr. Faith probably let his gun down. But Mr. Portsman was not so merciful as to let him leave alive. He waited for a chance and stole Mr. Faith's gun from him, and then he killed him. He silenced Mr. Faith for catching him in the act of stealing. This was the moment in which the first shot was fired, the one that landed in my files. Following that, Mr. Portsman wiped the gun down and left it behind as he made his exit. He could afford to do that because he had also left the fake dying message behind.
You're such a complicated troublemaker, you know that?
Well, if things were as simple as that, then all would be solved. However, there was yet another visitor to my room, and this is where it gets complicated.
There's another? Visitor, sir?
Yes, and this other person's objective was also to steal something from me. Now then, even after Mr. Portsman left, the door to my office remained unlocked. However, this new visitor had no way of knowing that, and so they stole the master key from the security guard's room, and then entered my room and searched through my shelves. This is the second time they were disturbed, and it seems the thief found their prize.
The stolen zero file, right, sir?
Correct, only just as the thief was about to leave with the file, I appeared. The thief then threatened me with their own gun and made their escape. The second bullet was fired during that brief encounter.
So the shelves getting messed up twice in the 2 bullets. It was all because 2 different people were doing those things at 2 different times.
Precisely. So now do you see, Mr. Portsman? The person I know is just a thief and was not in fact Mr. Faith's killer. Your alibi for the time frame in which I ran into the other person is now irrelevant, because we now know that the murder took place during the first culprit's visit. Ha 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 ha.
What's so funny, pal?
Absolutely splendid. Your scenario explains everything.
Of course it does. It's Mr. Edgeworth after all.
But you know, it still doesn't change the fact that it's all circumstantial. Supposing if, and that's a big if, your theory is right, it would indeed render my alibi, which has withstood scrutiny, mind you, irrelevant. But there is still one defining point of your argument for which you have no evidence. Your supposition that I was the first visitor.
Mr. Edgeworth, you can't let him get away with that, sir.
But he has a point. I have absolutely no proof at this point.
Don't say that, sir.
I don't believe this. Don't worry, Maggie. I'll do something if I must.
You know something? I find your attitude to be somewhat peculiar, Mr. Edgeworth. If the person you met really was just a plain old thief, then why is that person not your main suspect? That is, if your theory is correct. That thief you ran into should be your real suspect, wouldn't you say? We should be out there looking for that thief right now. They might still be nearby. I hate to repeat myself, but as I've already said, I was training in my room, and when Jim came to deliver some evidence to me, I was down at Criminal Affairs, so I can't be expected to know what happened around here after I left. So you think we should be out there looking for the thief? Of course, now isn't the time to be wasting time on dead-end discussions. I don't think it's at all dead-ended. I find your alibi to be fascinating. Let's continue where we left off, shall we? I know he's lying. I know he was here at the scene of the crime. I just have to find a way to prove it. But how? That's what we're going to find out. I like this music. Actually, no, I wouldn't. Why not? That's elementary, the dying message, of course. Mr. Faith's killer very clearly left those letters on the spines of those files, and it was after they were on there that they stole one of them.
You mean these zero files, right?
And that's how we also know that the letters themselves were a setup and not from Mr. Faith. If the thief was the killer, do you think they would try to undermine themselves? Or maybe the killer just didn't think of that either. Yes, that must be it. Maybe, just maybe. Once escaped, I highly doubt a thief would linger nearby. Well, you never know. Maybe they didn't get what they were really after. Oh, you talk like you know quite a bit about this thief. Oh, it's nothing like that. I have no idea about anything, after all. But according to Mr. Faith's note... Hold on, I thought we already cleared that up. Didn't we say that Jim left that note for me in the early evening? If you have proof that he left it at a different time, say, just before he was murdered, I don't have any, no. You see, so I insist again that I was in my office the entire time. Wait a second, why is it like that? There we go. Why didn't you go there with Mr. Faith? That's because he said he was tired and was going to take a quick nap. You know these sofas in the hallway? He likes to sleep on those. It's one of his habits. And what of the evidence he brought? They were things related to yesterday's case. Just 2 items, a gun and a pendant. Interesting. This piece of testimony seems too crucial to let slip through the cracks. Alright, he brought me 2 items, a gun and a pendant that are related to yesterday's case. Okay. So let's see what we got in here. Basketball hoop is nothing. What does the note say again? I brought the 3 pieces of evidence by. 2 items, a gun and a pendant. What's the 3rd item? Objection! Only 2 pieces. I believe the proper phrase here is you fail. Excuse me? You fail as a prosecutor, Mr. Portsman, as you intend to keep evidence hidden from me. What are you talking about? I haven't hid anything from you. Well, here's a piece I think you should read. Carefully.
Ah, it says that Mr. Faith was bringing 3 pieces.
Yes, and this is the victim's real dying message to you, Mr. Portsman. I can't believe to get tripped up by simple arithmetic. Where is the missing piece of evidence? It's... You have it, don't you? Only the guilty would make such a face. Detective Gumshoe.
You don't have to say it, sir. I'll pat the guy down from head to toe.
Don't come any closer, I'm warning you.
This is all part of the investigation, pal, so don't even think about stopping me.
No!
Hey, what's this? He had this on him, sir.
Oh. Despite what you said, it would appear that you do have something to hide.
But why would he hide something like that?
There's only one reason why anyone would hide evidence of this caliber. Because it would unequivocally point to that person himself as the real killer. Oh, we got him now. Let's examine this videotape in a little more detail. For the section of the tape that will drive the last nail into his coffin. Okay. So let's... The KG8 incident.
That's a police case number, sir. Does that mean this video is evidence from that case?
Interesting. However, what's recorded on this isn't what's important right now. Let's give the casing a thorough once-over. Alright. Can we turn it around? Oh my god, there's a giant blood stain on here.
Oh, that's blood, isn't it?
Yes, and I believe this is what the good prosecutor was trying to hide from us. This blood is still fresh.
You mean this might be Detective Faith's blood?
No. No, you've got it all wrong. No amount of denial can save you. We have but to run a blood test to find the truth. You told us that you had received evidence from the victim earlier. Now you will tell us, when and how did the victim's blood find its way onto this video?
Yeah, it's totally suspicious.
Was it at the moment of his death? Did Detective Faith have this videotape on his personas when you killed him? You know very well there's no way to prove that. Not even if we were to examine this tape for fingerprints? If I had to take a guess, I'd say that the only ones on here would belong to the murderous you and Mr. Faith. No, impossible. Oh my god, he just ate his pendant. Oh my god. Dude, he's messed up. Yeah, baby. We did it.
Mr. Portsman has been placed under arrest for the murder of Detective Buddy Faith, sir.
Alright. Very good.
And the results we got back from the lab techs on the tape turned out to be real solid, sir. The blood work came back and it was definitely Mr. Faith's blood on there. And as a bonus, they were also able to lift a few of Mr. Faith's fingerprints as well.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Edgeworth. I still can't believe I got to see your cool deduction skills outside the courtroom. I'm impressed beyond words, sir.
It was nothing. I'm just sorry you got caught up in a murder in my office. Please accept my apologies.
Oh, it was nothing, really, compared to what I've been through, I mean. I consider myself lucky that it was only a burglary and a murder this time, sir. If it had been a holdup or a hostage situation, I'd have thrown my hands up in the air. I think I'm finally rising up from a goddess of misfortune to just an unlucky person.
Something tells me we should have hired a different person for security detail.
You know something, sir? That Mr. Portsman really was one a corrupt prosecutor.
And why would you say he was corrupt?
Well, I heard that there were a number of suspicious things related to his court cases. There's even rumors about how some of the evidence he uses is forged, sir.
Forged evidence, huh?
And they say he even decided not to prosecute a few cases for some really vague reasons.
Oh, that guy was a complete disgrace to the entire profession.
We never did get around to asking what his reason was for breaking into my office.
Yeah, whenever we got near that topic, he just clammed up.
Although we can be pretty certain that it was to steal something.
This is just between you and me, sir, but there's a rumor that some sort of huge organization is involved behind the scenes.
Oh, well. With Mr. Portsman not willing to divulge anything, it certainly leads credence to that rumor. It would seem that we haven't heard the last of this.
Huh? That Mr. Portsman isn't the bad guy?
I didn't say that, but rather that there are still many more mysteries for us to solve. For example, we still haven't figured out the significance of this piece of evidence. It was a thing that was taken out of the room, the Zero Series file. There's pages missing to it that somebody else might have. The second guy that was in the room, he may still be out there.
Take that!
The person who stole this file, the other villain of the night.
Yeah, I wonder who it was.
And what happened to the stolen pages? I wonder, who in the world was it that held me up at gunpoint?
Mr. Edgeworth, sir?
Yes?
I came across this while I was processing your office earlier, sir.
This card.
What is it, sir? Is that a bird or something on there?
It's not just any bird. It is the mark of the raven, a three-legged raven. Even you should know what this is, detective.
Oh, it's about that thing, isn't it? That great thief everyone's talking about?
Yes, it is the mark of the great thief Yatakarasu. Under the mark of a legendary bird, the Yatakarasu is noble to the end, a modern Robin Hood. Whoa. Labeled mysterious and phantom-like, the Yatagarasu appears and vanishes at will. Though we don't know much about this thief's ultimate goal, we do know the targets. The Yatagarasu likes to find and makes public evidence of corrupt dealings of all sorts. The theft is always performed in silence, and always with perfection. Once a target is chosen, no dramatic calling card or announcement is sent forth. Instead, the chosen corporation is infiltrated without even the target noticing. Some days later, the evidence that was found is sent out to the mass media. Along with this single card, although it has been a while since the Yatagarasu's last appearance.
Hey, Mr. Edgeworth, look, something's written on the back.
What? Let me see.
It's the location of where the thief put the stolen files.
So the person who stole the contents of the file was the Yatagarasu? Yatagarasu, organization. Quite a few key words are propping up in this mystery. The murder in my office. The return of the great thief, Yatakarasu. Looking back, I can't say I didn't see these events coming, for they were heralded by the incidents that began to occur 2 days ago. Bam! That is episode 1 of Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney Investigations. That was really fun. That was really fun. Alright, so we have beaten the first case of the game. I'm really excited to start the next case. That was really, and they always start with a simple case, but... Alright, so it looks like, so we've unlocked the picture, it's got Miles on it, episode 1, Turnabout Visitor on the bottom here. So now we've got Turnabout Airlines. Who is this? I guess we'll have to find out, so... Wait a second. What was that on her waist? It looks like a rope or something like that. So I think it might be Franziska maybe coming back into the game from the looks of it. Yeah, she's got kind of the same like short hair with the spiky on the bottom. So maybe Von Karma, it could be, it looks kind of like Maggie's hairstyle as well. So, but anyways, that is going to do it for this part for Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney Investigations. And I will see you guys in my next video coming soon.